Good morning and welcome. I'm Bob Pace, your host, and here we are to fight CPS and get your children back. That's the secret. Fight CPS and get your children back. Now, CPS stands for the Children Protection Services. It's a branch of social services that the government mandates that all states have. Now, helping out children has gone back even in the colonial days. I've been doing a lot of history research and so forth. And even in the colonial days, there's been some type of structure to take care of children. And they bring it up to 1875. I don't know what's so special about 1875. I'm still trying to figure out the importance or the significance. But there's been always an attempt to help out children. We seem to have a lot of children that are being neglected or abused or abandoned or anything else. There are three areas that they talk about child protection services. The first is that the colonial days to 1875. That's before child protection became organized. The second era extends from 1875 to 62, the era which witnessed the creation and growth of child protection with the help of NGOs, national government organizations, and child protection societies, like the 1853 Child Aid Society that was formed. And then we have in the third area is from 1962 to the present. Now, the first organization that came into existence in New York Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children is 1875. So the prevention of cruelty to children was started at 1875. And before that, they hardly got any protection. Now, there was a case in 1809 where a New York shopkeeper was convicted for committing abuse to children. There's something called the Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act of 1874. Has been enacted to the purpose which grants permission to the states to implement child abuse and neglect prevention programs. This Adoption City and Child Welfare Act of 1904, they receive federal reimbursement for foster care to create social programs in order to help families, preventing them from putting children at risk and removing the children if required. When a child is removed from his biological family, the court tries its best to reunite the child with his family. But the rehab process includes a number of formalities which result in the child's stay with foster care for a long time. This is where really 1974 is where it really started to become really hard. And there was some talk about family reunification, because it's been proven that the best parents to take care of a child is their biological mom and dad. Now, there's an act of 1980, which is called the Adoption Assisted Child Welfare Act. And that's supported and suggests the states to take necessary steps to do so. For example, every 6 months, a judicial or administrative review of a child's plan, and the families are given a goal for a set of 18 months for making it better to reunite the children with their respective families or terminate the parental rights and making the child free for adoption. Now, this child protection system protects the children from being abused through its work to do. Now, I want to welcome all of you. A lot of you have followed me. Hi, Danielle. It's good to see you again. I'm doing great, Danielle. We have today a special day where the sun is going to be blocked by the moon, and we'll have a total eclipse about 15 Pacific Standard Time. I think it's 1 o'clock, 1:15 Eastern Standard Time. And Central Time is probably going to be noon. At noon will be the Central. And anyway, all of you that come in here are searching for answers about how to handle your CPS case, your child protection services that got you into the child protection system. And it's probably been a rough ride if you're at the beginning. If you've already been in for a while, it's even more rougher. Does not get better. Now, I want to thank Mr. Davis for providing this podcast. He's a family law attorney. If you need his help, you can call in at 888-888-6582. And if you want to be a guest on my podcast, all you need to do is contact my producer, Grace, and send her an email to grace@vincentwdavis.com and ask to be one of my 14 podcasts. I'm on in the morning, on the evening. Typically, my time is 10 o'clock in the morning, Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour, and 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour. Tonight, my evening show will be on an hour early at 6 o'clock. So at 6 o'clock, I'll be talking live and try to help you out with your case and so forth. Sundays, sometimes I start at 10:30, but I may have to go really early. It won't be early on the East Coast, but it'll be really, really early. But the rest of the time should be fine. So don't forget to send that email if you want me to guest my show, because I love to have you talk. You don't have to show your face if you don't want to, but I'd love to have you talk. Now, another way to interact with the show is you can send a comment about your CPS case, a question or what you want to make. And all you have to do is text that into me. You just text it in, put your name and your city and state. The email again is grace@vincentwdavis.com. It's on the bottom of my screen, Danielle. There's a little ticket running that says it in small print, small fonts. So it's at grace@vincentwdavis.com. Now, Danielle has already started to text messages to me, and it's beautiful that she is doing so. I forgot, what city and state are you, Danielle? I'm not very good with remembering, I guess, on that particular incident. Now, let's say you want to talk right now. You want to really get out there and ask some questions. All right. Axworth, Georgia. I'm sorry, Danielle. Axworth, Georgia. Yes. That's where all the children were sent to El Paso, Texas. Yeah. So all you need to do is call in 626 698 0990. That's 626 698 0990. And you'll reach my office phone. I'll answer it and put you on. I want to make sure that the thing is loud enough to hear you come in. Yep, my phone's live. And it's live during the show time. So just call in 626 698 0990. And so I'm open to any questions from the listeners. I'm open to someone that'd like to talk on the show. I do talk about my case and something about me. I'm a married man for 32 years, forever young man. Biological, though I'm afraid that my numbers are high up there. I'm college educated. I have a teaching credential in secondary education. My degree in college is a Bachelor of Science in Marine Biology. I'm a research diver. I'm an animal trainer. I can train marine animals. And done so. The biggest killer whales. Oh my goodness, those are huge. I'm an ocean lifeguard. I've been a manager of a seafood restaurant. I've done a lot of things. I work primarily right now in engineering. I have over 40 years of engineering. 59, well, not 40 years over engineering. And it's civil engineering, highway, heavy civil engineer. And again, I'm looking for work. I worked as a senior construction manager, and I was working as a senior construction inspector. I do sales as estimating, as senior estimator, and also as a senior project manager running projects. And I have a vast background in Southern California. So anyway, I'm looking. So I don't know if the place don't work for me looking at this show. But anyway, that's who I am. I'm loving, caring, and I really care for you guys, what you're going through. And through this. It started shortly after I lost my job in 2010 at the age of 60. At the age of 60, I suddenly was faced with no work. I had to be laid off, not my fault, not my choice. But the state of California was going bankrupt, and they had to write IOUs on some projects I picked up, and my company couldn't afford to not get paid or run. Oh wow, we got someone here. All right. Good morning. Hello, you're live on the show. Well, that was Hubert Johnson, who just called me, and then he hung up. I don't know if he got scared. I will call him back. Let me see here. Press pound when finished. Yeah, good morning. This is Bob Pace on a live podcast. You'd called in to my office number, and you reached 626 698 0990. I don't know if you want to talk about your CPS case, but I tried to answer you. I've called you back now. So, Hubert, if you're on the show listening, please call me back. I'd love to have you as a guest on the show. If you changed your mind, I can understand that. All right. I hope to hear from you. Again, you can call me back at 626-698-0990. All right. Well, we had Hubert Johnson. I don't know from where, but he called my office number. I don't know if he's on the show. I didn't see a text message. There were a couple people in the room, but one of them left. So it's all right if you're a little nervous about talking. You don't have to talk. Because I enjoy talking. And I want to share my case to help others. I've probably gone through everything you guys have gone. Losing a job is very traumatic, especially at my age. And I had a family to take care of. That's the hardest thing to do. And, when I closed my doors, it was hard to find me a work here because most people don't want to hire somebody at 60 years old. They think that's too old. Oh, my goodness. Today, if you're 70, you're supposed to go out to the cow pasture and retire. The Department of Motor Vehicles in California says that you need to come in now every time for your driver's license renewal after the age of 70. You no longer can do it on the internet. You have to retake pictures, take the written test, and I guess show that you can still drive at that age. I never think of 70 years old. Things have changed. When Reagan was president, he was in his 70s. I was considered an old guy, but, now I think of old maybe at 100, I just think that as long as you're healthy and you enjoy what you're doing, you should be able to go out and work. I have to because I have a young family. Now, I'm a family man. I have 6 children, 3 older ones and 3 younger ones. Not with the same wife. I'd always wanted one wife, but I was forced to divorce from my first wife. It's not my choice. Not my choice at all. In the process, I lost my firstborn. She was determined as some type of revenge for something I did. I have no to this day that you'll never see your child again. And so she made accusations, and I hate accusations because they can be so falsified and so wrong. And that poor little daughter of mine at 3 was saying, "Daddy, don't go." And I've not seen her. She's now 32 years old. She's going to be 33 this May. I don't go a moment of time without thinking about her. She's very, 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 very precious to me. Anyway, on the rebound, I'm married. I've been married with this woman for 32 years. And she found me in a book. And we started a long distance relationship, never exchanged pictures. And then she came out to visit me. And then we wanted to start to have children. So we married after about 5 years of dating and getting to know each other. So I don't know if it was a rebound or not. But anyway, she brought with her 2 children. Now, one child she had when she was 15 through no fault of her own, something called rape at a concert, and no protection from her parents or her sister. Sadly to say, she's found a lot about her family who's broken a lot of CPS rules. But she was neglected and abused. Anyway, she had this child, and she made the tough decision to give up the child for adoption. And she asked for him to be adopted far from where she lives. But unfortunately, they didn't listen to her, and he was nearby. Well, I think he started looking for her at age 20, and they connected. I got to meet him. He's a great guy. He's 42 right now, has a military career. He's a JAG lawyer, and he has a family too. He's married to a lawyer, and they have young children, 2 young kids, and they're her first grandchildren. And today they don't want to really talk to her, which is sad, or talk to me. Something has changed about her CPS case. Something has really changed. That's the sad part, how family and friends and relatives will turn against you, how school districts will protect bad teachers, pedophiles. I've had so many stories here about horror stories here about school districts and Congress people. There's a lot of corruption that's going on. And I hate to tell you that CPS is very corrupt from the cases I've heard and the cases I've seen and from firsthand experience they are. It's a money making business. They want to make money off your children, and you got to stay away from them at all possible. You need to deal with them with a lawyer. A lawyer is the only way that's going to help you. I tried without a year and a half. Allegations are made. That's how the whole thing starts. Allegations. And when allegations are made, they're made by two types of individuals. One type are the lay people. These are people that, like family members, friends, relatives, neighbors, the lay people. And so these lay people will call it in. You see, the problem is with call in, they're not shown a face. I think they should be in writing, signed by them, and turn it in. And it should be a report there. And then they should, CPS will investigate. They have a law that within 24 hours they have to start the investigation of a complaint that's called in. All complaints are thought to be valid, and you're guilty, by the way. In CPS system, you're guilty. You're really guilty, and it's up to you to prove that you're not. Every other criminal act or anything like that, you're innocent till you're proven guilty. It's the other way around. They have to prove you. The prosecution has to prove that you're guilty of that crime. But in CPS, the case workers who think of themselves as God do some really crazy stuff to your kids and take them away. They do legal trafficking, child trafficking, when they put them in foster care. Every case is immediate danger the kids are in, which is wrong. They've gone to the far extreme right now, and they're ruining a lot of good families. And some of these families have really tried so hard with, the work and what they can do with limited money. And it's sad when a system takes advantage of people that are down and out. They're down and out. And, I was too. I was laid off, and I had a big house payment and so forth, big mortgages, and I had to deal with that. And they knew about it. See, what it was is these were family in-laws that were trying to take our children. As I told you, I had, 3 older children. Now, I talked about the son who's 42. I met him at 20. There was a daughter that my second wife had that was a date rape. And she was 5 when I met her. And she was 25 when she left the home. She is now 36 years old. And she has 2 children of her own. And so I'm again, my wife is a grandparent again. My wife is a grandparent. But for some strange reason, at age 25, when she took off, she's 36 now, somehow she's no longer interested in a relationship with us. And I don't know, because, my wife and I have had 3 children ourselves. One is 18, the other one is 24, and the other one's 21. Now, they were taken in child protection custody at 9, 12, and 15. And it was really, there's no imminent danger. That's the problem is the CPS, or the child protection system, will look at imminent danger. They'll look at imminent danger. Every case is imminent danger to them. And they are spread out, and they don't even want you. Oh, boy. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of my daughter. You see, when CPS workers are corrupt and they make a threat to my wife that you'll never see your daughter again, she brainwashed thinking, or she alienated our daughter, thinking that she had to divorce her parents. And when you divorce your parents, you divorce your brothers and sisters, your cousins, your aunts, and your uncles. You divorce them all. You're no longer part of that family. And when you change your name, your identity is lost. And so she changed her name. And it's really, really, really hurts. But she's no longer a part of us. We never got to face her in the face. It was all done because they're trying to protect the child. They go overboard protecting the child. I think the CPS service is guilty because they haven't protected children in the past. So it is hard. It is really, really hard out there. At least I found it hard to lose a daughter. And I wish I had Mr. Davis early on because I didn't get him to a year and a half. I thought it was best for me to fight CPS with emails and letters stating what I disagree with. And it was going nowhere. I remember going to the Orange County CPS's head office, which is an emerald-looking building like the Wizard of Oz, very green, but it looks more like the Taj Mahal. It's very rich. And the furnishings and the hallways and the downstairs, everything is unbelievably rich. They're and so losing a daughter, and some of you have already, I know that, is a hard thing in your stomach. And it's very, very sad. There's a lot of sadness in this world, and I hate for CPS, the agency that you want to trust, be sad. Now, I want to tell you that's really important that you get yourself an attorney. And the reason why I'm saying that is CPS is not transparent. There's no watchdog over them. It's like you're in Alice in Wonderland falling in a rabbit hole, and you don't know which way to turn. All these doors don't open to nowhere. And it's really like Alice in Wonderland, which is, people ask me, what is CPS? I said, a story about Alice in Wonderland. Well, she crawled in a rabbit hole, and ever since then, it's been a nightmare to her. So, as I said, you need an attorney. And this attorney needs to be qualified. Now, in the dependency court, you'll be given a public defender when you do your first detention hearing, the initial detention hearing. That is a result of a petition filed by social service called the dependency position. And that's after when a child is put into protective custody. And that's when they take the child from your home or they take it from your hospital room. There's something called medical trafficking, which I've been finding out a lot lately too. They also take it from grandparents' homes. CPS thinks they're so powerful that they don't need to use warrants to do a lot of things they do. In fact, they use the police as an intimidation factor. You suddenly see these guys with flat jackets, combat boots, and battle fatigue come to see you with a really look of disgust at you because they believe what the social worker is telling them. So they're going to misjudge you. So the court-appointed attorney you get for the dependency court is only appointed to you that if you need one, meaning that if you're financially, you can hire it, but most people not. I wasn't because soon after I lost my job, I had to suddenly become put the family into the Spartan mode. Because my three beautiful children were 9, 12, 15 at the time that CPS stole them. I'm not going to say take. They illegally took my children, our children, that weren't in imminent danger and placed them in foster care. It was a shelter at first. Foster care is a system, not the name of a particular home or a person. Foster care uses shelters, group homes, single family homes. Those are the things they put the kids in. So this child protection system is really corrupt. It's really bad because all they want is money. Money, money, money. And that's why you need this attorney because, the social work, the public defender is not going to help you. Their caseload is 20 plus. And so that is hard. That is hard. It's cold today, so I just wanted to keep warm. So that public defender has a caseload, and they probably won't even talk to you to the day before your dependency court or the day of your dependency, your first detention hearing of your dependency court. And that's wrong. There should be discussions. They're not trained in family law. They're young attorneys starting out with very little experience. They've not been fighting CPS, and they don't fight CPS, sad to say. They're in cahoots with the kangaroo court. My court, my judge, his only experience was handling auto collisions and damage repair claims. He had no family background. He had no family law. He was elected, though, by the public. And this being election year, you need to elect your judges because someday you'll need them. So look at your judges and decide which one you want to represent you. Because that's how they're formed. If you don't see a judge, you can put a judge in there. So I tell people when they're thinking about my rule number 1 about getting an attorney, if you have open heart surgery, you're going to get a professional doctor. You're not going to do it yourself. You're not going to get your neighbor to help open up your cavity of your body. And you're not going to get a non-heart doctor, a doctor that, may not be skilled in the surgery or replacing heart components. That's how critical CPS is. It's that critical. It's very, very tricky because you're working with people that show no respect, that are very deceitful, that abuse their power and abuse your constitutional and civil rights. All that's wrong. All that's wrong. So I tried it for a year and a half and I was unsuccessful. Everything I said go in 1 year, go out the other year. The social workers, the supervisors, and the director didn't help, did not help at all. They made the case worse because they retaliate. They retaliate. So, um, welcome, our Bella. I don't know what Cedar State you're from, but I'm glad to see you there. Um, I do a lot of thinking sometimes to try to come up with the emotional aspect of CPS. It's not a friendly place. And I try to show respect on here too. I try to show respect because every one of you that's in here are probably fighting a CPS claim. If you're not in here, I have no idea why you're in here. It's okay to have you here because I do have people that text from other countries: Australia, Canada, United Kingdom, Ghana, and Mexico. Everybody's welcome in here, but we're supposed to be talking, be positive with one another. And you really don't know. And I have an old Indian saying: do not judge a person until you walk in their moccasins. Do not judge a person until you walk in your moccasins. Be careful of what you say because you do not know what are going through on there. Because Ariel, if I close my eyes, it's because first, I'm 74 years old. I wear contact lenses and I have to refresh the water. My eyes dry up. Second of all, I think before I speak. And that's what I meant, with all due respect, Aria. Again, I asked for your city and state, and what is your CPS question? I'm open to you. If you want to call in and talk about it, you're welcome to call in at 626 698 0990. Now, getting that attorney is a hard thing to do because you have to come up with the money. First, you got to make a list of 10 attorneys that practice family law. 10 attorneys that practice family law that deal with juveniles that have worked in dependency court. And then from that list of 10, you narrow it down to 5 that have experience with CPS and know how to fight CPS and get the kids back. It's a hard challenge. CPS is very, very, very hard, very, very difficult. That's okay, Era. It isn't called that. It's called soul sinking. That's why I said, I'm glad to have you make the comment. That was good. This is an open room. Anyway, thank you for being here, Era, and I hope you find what you're looking for. Getting an attorney is really hard, but from that list, you get down to 5, and that's the list you call. And you need to talk to them and see which one fits your chemistry, which one you can afford. Now, money is a problem. Retainer fees are from 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. It all depends on the complexity of the case and the length of the case that has been going on. Also, where you live. Now, I have an attorney. His name is Vincent W. Davis, and he's a professional family law attorney with a long background in fighting CPS and getting the kids back. He's also sued CPS. And that's the kind of need as a fighter. He's a trial attorney. And right now he's offering a 30-minute consultation for $49.99. That's $50. He'll talk to you for 30 minutes about the strategies of how to fight CPS and how to get your kids back. He will talk about that. That is really, really, really good. All you have to do is call the office at 888-888-6582. And tell them that Bob Pace sent you. And when you speak to Mr. Davis, tell him that Bob Pace sent you. It's really important there. So you be really more rested at ease if you have that attorney, and you will get your children back. My 3 children were stolen from us. They were in imminent danger, and they were placed into a shelter that was awful. It was right next to the juvenile prison, and the play yards were right next to each other. And in that play yard, there was bee nests of bees stinging the kids. It was overcrowded, dirty, and the food was awful. And their idea of schooling was to read a book to the children. And my kids need to be in school. And they're trying to finish their school through all this cruelty of CPS. CPS being so cruel. So they, will keep your children indefinite, and they keep them in the foster care system. In the foster care system as long as they can, because they get the money. It's the money thing. And the money's really got out of hand. My social worker, was a young girl who had a job, but she didn't have a college degree. She didn't take social work classes. She didn't have a certificate or license. They don't require that anyway of social workers, which they should. We need to renew your license. That way it'll keep track of you need to upgrade take your classes and so forth. You also further need to be a mentor. She knew nothing about family reunification or how to protect children. She was only thinking of the bonus she'd get to receive because she'd tell us about her new Gucci purses every week, or she'd see the new eyelashes, the new makeup, the new clothes, or a BMW that she was buying. All that was nice. All that was nice. So I'm telling you that those social workers are only interested in money. They do illegal child trafficking by putting them in the foster care system. The foster care system is a shelter, group home, or a single family home where foster parents supposedly have been trained in how to take care of kids. Not all foster homes are supposed to be for adoption, but adoption can happen, especially if the parental rights, the educational rights, and medical rights are taken away from you as a parent. So whatever you do not sign away your rights. You regret it. I have parents on this show that have been without their children. They regret what they did because they made promises. CPS does not keep promises. CPS is something that is just awful, bad. My mouth's a little dry, so I drink some water. Getting that attorney, Mr. Davis, will really make. I did. It took me a year and a half, and he got my 2 sons back. We did lose my daughter because I told you earlier, she was forced by the social worker to divorce her parents, or I shouldn't say forced, told. And a little 12-year-old is very gullible. They don't know what's going on, and she's a gullible person. So that's one way that will really help you go through this tangled mess. A second rule is you need to take notes on all the incidents that happened in your case because you'll need that information later on as your case goes on. Now, it's simply just using a notebook, a blank notebook, and writing down items, incidents, one by one. And you put them by the date and time. So your first instance at this date and time. Then after the date and time, you want to put the list of people that are involved. If you don't know the names, you say 2 social workers, 3 policemen, 2 code enforcement, 5 firemen. It was really, this notebook will come in handy because you're going to find yourself, a year down the road or 8 years down the road that you need some information. Now, all cases are supposed to be done within 48 days. 48 days. But that's not necessarily true because it will take longer depending on the complexity of the case. Or depend on the money situation. If they need money, they got to keep them in there because they can collect money up to they're 18. And I know that there's a lot of money involved. There was a person on the show here that worked at one of those cashier check places that you cashier your check. And she said this lady was depositing a $14,000 or cashing a $14,000 check from social services, from the child protection system. They were accepting, money there. And of course, was that money being used entirely for the child? It doesn't cost that kind of money, but if the state's paying them $20,000 a child, use $14,000 doing foster care. I don't know. It's really ridiculous on that. So rule number 2, you're doing that notebook, and on the third line, you want to put the outcome. What happened? The outcome. You want to put the outcome. And the outcome you may not know right away. You may have to think about it. It may take some time before you find it. So that is rule number 2. Now, rule number 3 is a very important rule. It's when you're dealing with social workers and the police at the start of your case. And something I didn't do. All 3 of these rules I didn't do. And my case would have been a lot better if I did. When I did get an attorney, rule number 1, I waited for almost a year and a half, and I had to sell my house to get my kids back. I had to give up everything. I'm still struggling right now to get that job. I had a job for about a year and a half, and then they laid me off. And so now I'm out there looking again. Now I'm looking there again. So rule number 3 is that when you are contacted by a social worker, don't talk to them if you can. Avoid them, because what you say will be used against you. They're not your friend. They give false promises and false hopes. So if you're contacted by them, what you need to tell them is that if you contact them by the phone, you pick up the phone, you just say, I need to talk to my attorney. Let me have your name and phone number. If you meet them outside your home, tell them that you need a business card or name and phone number. And again, you need to emphasize you need to talk to your attorney. That gives you some extra times. It may also scare them off a little bit. That tactic does work because they don't know if you do or not. So if they show up with a warrant, see, that's the only thing to get in your home. There's 2 ways to get in your home. Either the child's in imminent danger, like there's a shooting going on and shots are being fired, or someone's taking a child and slam them against the wall to have them shut up because they're crying. Cases like that where they're in extreme danger, then the police will come into the home. Child Protective Service can come in the home. But they really have to so that same thing goes for the police. Don't let them in. Don't talk to them. Simple no, yes answers and be courteous to them is all you have to do. And tell them that you need to talk to your attorney who'll give you a way out at the end of the discussion. If they ask for your children, don't give it to them. If they ask them your home, don't give it to them. Don't let them in. You have to protect your civil rights. They got to have a warrant. It's a legal documentation signed by a judge that gives them permission to enter the home or take children from the home. But it's got to be signed with a recent date. It's got to have on it where the location is and who they're seeing and so forth. So I want to tell you that you don't want to give up on your cases. And I'm going to cite some things that may help you with the remainder of my time. Again, I want to thank Mr. Davis. And if you need help, please call him at 888-888-6582. Right now, we don't have much time left, so I'm going to turn off the phone, my office phone. Didn't have anybody call in. That's okay. And again, if you want to be on my show, all you have to do is email Grace at vincentwdavis.com and she'll put you in one of my shows. You just pick which one you want. Now, you really need to have a flow chart in front of you how this whole thing works with juveniles. Juvenile dependency, which is the dependency court you're in, is where the child's decide whether to be in protective custody or sent to custody. Or not saying, sorry, who's not in custody. Either you're in custody or you're in protective custody. That's all there is to it. And if you're in protective custody, there will be a petition filed that will lead into detention initial hearing. That's supposed to happen within 30 days. Then after you have detention hearing, then you have detention initial hearing, and then you have judicial hearing, and then disposition. So there's 3 court cases you go into court. It's all found in the California Code 300. And you want to go to, see here, 300 point, 300 to 325, 300 and 325, or 319 is the initial hearing, 355 is a jurisdictional hearing, and 358 is the disposition hearing. Then hopefully your child not be terminated and you lose your child. That's really bad. So that would help you a little bit. Now, there's supposed to be a safety meeting that happens right after your children are taken from you within that first week. And what they're supposed to do is get together and determine where the child's going to be while you get your hiccups fixed, if you have any hiccups. And it's really important that you provide a list of people that your kids can stay with, relatives, friends, or whatever the case be, so they can be checked out. Now, also at that safety meeting, there's a thing called the ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act. And that was made so that Indian children are no longer handled by CPS if they can verify that they're registered by a federal recognized tribe, or could be registered if they're not registered. And that act in the 70s was ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act. And that basically said that Indian families would take care of the children while the children are, the parents are doing some completion of things. So the Indians tribe family members will place the children. It still needs the jurisdiction of the child protection system, but a lot more I want to thank all my listeners that come back to these shows. I've had Danielle several times on my show from Athworth, Georgia. She's talked about her case, and I'd like to get an update, Danielle. One of these times you need to talk again on the show. It'd be great. Because I know she's fighting for her case. I want to thank Arabella for making a comment and trying to participate in the show. And I want to thank all my listeners. And I want you to keep trying and know that, God is watching over you, and that for you to get your children back, keep trying. Don't give up. You will get them back. I want you all to have a good day. Enjoy the eclipse. And I'll see you again at 6 o'clock tonight. Now, 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. This is God bless you all. This is Bob Pace saying say goodbye.